Let's say that you want to run a Google Display campaign and you want to do some research to figure out where you should show your ads on the Google Display Network. Google has a tool called the Display Planner, and I'm going to show you how to use that. It's similar to the Keyword Planner. I have a separate lecture about that, and that's what you use to find keywords for search campaigns. The Display Planner, which is here under the Tools option, Display Planner, we'll click on that. This is where you do research for your display campaign. So let's go ahead and open up this interface, and it looks very similar to the Keyword Planner options. So you can search for new targeting ideas using phrases, using your website, or using a category. Let's see where the category is. Well, they tell you can use categories, but they don't actually give the option right here. So that's not too helpful. You can find top placements by location, so find top placements in a state or an area. Or you can get details about your targeting that you're already doing. You can get performance forecasts for targeting you're already doing, so forth and so on. So for example, let's go here. Let's say that we sell umbrellas, because that's our sample website. Let's go ahead and put umbrellas in here. Okay, and this is where you find the categories. You can start typing, and it gives you options here. I doubt that there is an target for umbrellas. I'm right, so we'll just put that keyword in there and get ad group ideas. And here we go. Once again, you can see this is very similar to how the Keyword Planner works, in that it's got your targeting here on the left column. It's got the data here in the center, and then you can create a plan over here on the right. So you can see there are a lot of cookies, a lot of impressions available. 500 million to 1 billion cookies, 10 billion plus impressions. a lot of eyeballs there if you want them. So the way you use this is based upon the keyword that we put in there, umbrellas. Google is, first of all, listing different ad group ideas with topics or in-market audiences or apps, so forth and so on, that they think are related to umbrellas. So you could use those options if you wanted and hit that button there to add that to your plan. Or you could look at more specific targeting options. So for example, if you want to target websites that have certain keywords, you'll find keyword suggestions here. If you want to target specific interests or find new interests to target, you can look at that there. Topics of websites, find that there. And then specific websites, specific URLs, or even portions of websites, you find that under placements. And if you only want to target mobile apps, you could select that over here, or you could select websites, you can select videos, just all placements, so forth and so on. A lot of different stuff you can do here. This is the ad group ideas. You can change this here to individual targeting ideas and see individual places. Let's click on here. This shows you what different ad formats are an option for each website. So in this instance, they accept text ads, they accept large image ads and smaller image ads, and very tall and thin image ads, and they also accept some mobile image ads, but they don't accept video ads. And this is kind of a score of how relevant Google thinks this particular website is to whatever you typed in up here, to umbrellas. It thinks it's the most relevant of all these options. It tells you that it's historical CPC, which is very helpful if you want to figure out what bids you need to set to get traffic from websites. You can do that there. And then this tells you how many cookies it has. So in this case, 20,000, 5,000, 25,000. See if we can find any larger ones. There's 200,000 there. And then some sites will be in the millions, like right here, 1 million cookies per week, or 1 million to 1.5 million. Cookies is theoretically individual people. It's not actually individual people, but it's a rough range of how many people could see your ads if you had all of the cookies on this website in a particular week. And then this is impressions. So obviously people can see ads multiple times. So 1 million to 1.5 million cookies, but that could translate into 5 million to 10 million impressions per week. And then you can just look at that data if you want and add that to your account, or you can add that to a plan and kind of create your own plan over here, set bids and budgets, and then import that, save that into your actual account as a display campaign. And that is that's how you do it. You can set a max CPC up here if you wanted, $1, update your performance forecast, figure out their estimate of how many impressions, cookies, clicks you'd get during a certain forecast time. You can do weekly or monthly. And yeah, if you're running a display campaign, you should take a look at this and get a sense for what your traffic is going to look like and cost before you actually start running the campaign.